Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Craft Eccentricity. And I am up again with some more from Mango Craft. And today we're going to use that Halloween stencil. And then once we've done that, I'm going to try and make something using it. Right, so colours. We are going to be using Distress Oxide in Lost Shadow, Carved Pumpkin, and Black Soot. Right, those are the three colours, and then I'm going to stack them back up in the order that I just showed you so that I don't get confused. And I'm just going to put those over to the side. Next thing I've got, of course, is the stencils, and I've got those in the order of my ink, and I've got them the correct way around. Now, one of the ways I try to remember layers on stencils, and you do not have to do this, is I will put a dot in the top right corner. If you don't like your dots, you can always remove it afterwards using a little bit of stamp cleaner. So just in the orders of my ink, so I'm going to be going white, orange, and this one is going to be black. But at least I know what position they go in, even if I get my colours wrong. Right, so these are the three stencils. Now, you don't have to use the orange. You can use pink if you're into pink Halloween. And I've got my stamp platform here, which is a Tim Holtz Tonic stamp platform. I like it because you can remove the lid, and on limited space that's really useful. So I've got my lid removed. It's here within the guides, even though you can't see the bottom of it because it doesn't quite fit in my camera. If I can tip it so you can see it. There you go. I've got this lip along here that holds the paper in place. And because you're using a stamp platform, you can also use a magnet if you wish to stop things moving around. Now, these stencils are 6 inches by 6 inches, and my cardstock is 6 inches by 6 inches. And making something afterwards, I'm going to crop it down and kind of choose the elements that I've done to kind of keep within it. Right, so first up we're going in with the top stencil, and that is in white. So I'm having that butted right up in there. I've got a good empty space here in which I can put that. Now, any fluff on your stencil, it's a good idea to remove it now. I had a little bit of glitter left on my desk, but there we go. Right, I am using stencil brushes. I don't actually wash mine. What I do is once I start getting them into a position where they look really dark, then I wash them. But usually what I do is just brush out any excess ink onto a piece of kitchen paper, and I've got just a smaller one if I need it. And if you haven't tried these, they're absolutely brilliant, and I will link them below. So this one looks like it had a bit of pale, I don't know, antique linen or something. So I'm going to use that one for my Lost Shadow, and it has already been scrubbed out. Now, if I bring over a piece of kitchen paper here, just to show you, you just get a little wodge of it and just go round and round, and you can see there's no colour coming off it. So that's okay by me. Right, so Lost Shadow, here we go. You just take your brush and swirly twirly it. That's all you have to do, and then hold your stencil in place, even though you know you've got that there. Now, this might not look like much at first, but against a stark white background, this Lost Shadow is really going to stand out. And I just want to load my brush for this, because I believe these are my ghosties and I want them to look creamy and nice. So we have that. Just going to get all of the elements, and I have to tell you, I am being good today because I don't usually hold my stencils down with anything, and when you slip it's awful. So, you know, don't do it. And I think that's a skull that I've just coloured in there. So I'm just going round and round, making sure that they're all filled in. It's incredibly satisfying when you use something, you know, that doesn't hurt your hands. I'm just going over those again. Right, so I'm going to say that that is my Lost Shadow colour done. And I'm going to lift that one off. And then we're going to do our pumpkin. So I cut all my nails off for the garden again. So you can see that it does stand out on that stark white background. Right, so this one is my orange, and I've marked the corner so I know that it is top right. So now we're going to lay that down, make sure it's all snug, and I've got a little gap there so I can use my magnet once again. I'll try and go up a little bit, see if it fits a bit more in. Right, so now the carved pumpkin. Whoops. I've got my orangey brush, and I'm going to load this up as well. I want it nice and saturated. And here goes. So we've got vines. I think those little triangle bits that you can see there are oh, what they call candy corn. Yeah. So I'm going through this, and then my larger ones I'm going to make sure that my brush is loaded. Now these brushes do not hurt your hands at all, so you're just gently going down and just, you know, as I say, swirly twirly across your paper. I'm loading up again to go into this pumpkin because I want good full coverage. And then I can use up what's on my brush to go into those swirly bits. And I think these little stripes that I'm doing at the top right there are stripes on the hat. And then we've got these lovely vines. I'm just going to load my brush up again. And then we've got stripes next that are for these ones here, for the ghost hat. Ooh, we've got some little starbursts as well that I can see. So just by gently going back and forth, you're going to get into all of those areas rather than just stroking in one direction. Just make sure you get that. Right, that's nice and colourful looking. There might be a bit that I missed up there, so I'm going back in. Got some vines here. Ooh, what's everybody up to today? I've got to go out and feed and water. I kind of get this routine twice a week of feeding stuff. And just to talk about gardening, yeah, I'll digress. I only half feed. So if something says on the package, you know, put a teaspoon per gallon, I put half a teaspoon in and just do it twice a week. Don't know why I do that, but it's been quite successful so far. I'm just going here. Oh, I will tell you something funny. A horse escaped from one of the neighbours' gardens, and my 3 dogs, they just sat at the garden gate with their eyes bulging, and the expression was, it was like, you know, it was the biggest dog they had ever seen. It was absolutely hilarious. I mean, poor Bo, he almost came undone. He didn't know what to do, bless him. See this huge horse just galloping down the street. Right, I believe, no I haven't, look, there's a tiny little one there that I had missed, so back into that. Right, I believe I have covered all of it. Might be a little bit there that I've missed, so I'm just going to touch it. And then we're going to lift off again. And of course stencils can just be washed in soap and water. Now you can see I actually, you know, was a bit heavy handed and went underneath my stencil there. So that's my fault, but never mind. Right, next up is our black soot. So I'm just using my inks and moving them out of the way so I don't, you know, pick up the wrong one and get too overexcited. And now dot again, top right, down onto the paper. Got my magnet and a nice little piece of space there to put it in. And I'm using this one for my black. I'll try not to be so overzealous this time. It's kind of easy to see where you've been and where you haven't been when you're using the black one. I do like those little sparkly bursts that I keep seeing, and it's going to be interesting to see what it looks like when I lift off. Ooh, I think I just did a bat. And that looks like the skeleton's face that I've just done. That's skull. And we're doing pumpkin faces. I think maybe one of the worst things that can happen when you're stenciling is to realise you got one upside down. That's why it's really good just to mark them. And as I said, if you don't like them being marked, you can always use stamp cleaner to remove it afterwards. I just leave mine on. Now you can do all sorts of things with stencils, obviously backgrounds. If you haven't got any scrapbook paper, for example, you can grab a stencil and then you can cut a little bag or a pocket or a tag, and you've got a nice bit of decorated paper to use. So there is that to it. And they just make great backgrounds for other critters too. Right, I believe that I've got everything there. And I'm just looking at the camera and seeing if there's any bits that I've missed. Because if I go in too heavy-handed, I know me, I start pushing underneath my stencil. But I'm going to be happy with that. Right, now the big reveal, because we've done all of the colours. Oh, isn't that lovely? Oh, that's wonderful. I love that. Right, I've got a pile of dirty stencils. What I'm going to do now is I am going to crop this down to do the background of a card, and I think I'm going to fussy cut this pumpkin, and I'll be right back. Right, so I tidied up and I went away and I trimmed this, and it's going to be a card base, so I'm going to glue that onto there. And of course, another thing you can do when you're stenciling, if you've got some stickles or glitter glue or anything like that, then you can pop your stencil back on, and you could like turn the ghosty hats sparkly, or what's coming out of the cauldron sparkly. But you know, you can see that you can use absolutely different colours, because you could go lime green if you're using a smaller stencil brush. This could be orange, that could be lime green coming out of the cauldron if you wanted it to. But I love the orange outline on the bat wings. That's one of the things that I noticed, because I do notice little things. Yes, I do. Right, glue. And I'm still loving my glue. It's been so nice to put things down. I'm just going to stand up to get this straight. To get things that will stick down straight away in humidity has been an absolute blessing. Right, I'm going to go about there. And I have ordered those 7-piece tool guides so that I don't have to keep standing up and doing that. I mean, you can quite literally, you know, just push your card up against the guide, lay another guide and push another piece of card, and you've got a perfect layer. So they should be coming soon, and I'll show you how to use those when I get mine. But I ordered those from AliExpress because sometimes I just find I've either gone a little bit skewy or my border's wider than the other on one side, and it can be a little bit annoying when you put a lot of effort in, but because you've used glue or sticky tape, you're kind of committed. So right, so that is the base of my card, and I do love the little candy corns. Can you see those? Now if you want to get a gel pen, and I do have a gel pen, then you can go in and you can highlight those. I always warm mine on my finger, it just gets the ink flowing, and you can just run. Don't know if you can see that, a little highlight, and you can give things like that just a little bit of a dimensional appearance. And I've got another one here, haven't I? So there's my candy corns. I'm going to do that one. I think I've done them all. So just something like that is, you know, giving a little bit of detail to it. You could go in with your gel pen and you can do the eyes of the pumpkins or the eyes of the skeletons. But I like that you can do it in whatever colour you like. But I kind of stuck with what was on the website. Right, so I'm going into the pumpkin and I'm going to fussy cut it, and then I'm just going to go right around the edge with some black soot oxide. Now this pumpkin does have a little bit of a dimple on its bottom. I'm trying to get that bit in. Of course, whenever I'm fussy cutting, it's really difficult on camera because I can't see where I'm going, which should instill you with confidence. And I hope I'm getting it right off onto the edge there. I always look at my piece of paper afterwards and I think if there's any ink left on it, I did it wrong. And I might have cut his stem off a little bit too skinny, but not to worry. And then I'm going over there. And I've got a separated little pumpkin, and what I'm going to do with him is just dust him up with a little bit of ink around the edges so that he's standing out. And he's going to layer back onto there. So I'm just going to get a little bit of foam. I've got a bit of Dollar Tree foam here, and I'm going to pop that onto the back. Give that a squeeze. And then you'll have to forgive me while I just grab this and turn it towards me. So that little pumpkin is now, he's all up and dimensional. Now you could absolutely do the same thing, and you could cut out the top of your cauldron and or just stencil another piece, cut the cauldron bit out, sprinkle it with glitter or beads and have that popped up, so that you don't have to feel that, you know, you've cheated. Because sometimes when I do stuff like this, I'm always saying it, I feel that I cheated. So, and really I suppose that's the wrong attitude to have, but I do. Now the only thing of course that would need is a little sentiment at the bottom, or I'd go through here so I'm not cutting off my cat. So I'm just going to pause and grab something. Right, so what I've found is I hadn't used the Happy Halloween from this pumpkin set, so I'm going to use that one, and I've already got it down on my stamp block, and I'm looking for which ink. Hang on a second. Right, so I've got some VersaFine Claire. I'm just going to move my card. Hopefully you can see what's going on here. And then I'm just going to run off and guillotine this into a strip. But I hadn't actually stamped this one yet. I'd done the Boo and the Trick or Treat in that set. So I'm just going to go down at the bottom so that I don't have to do too much trimming. So we can see how that stamps. There you go. You've got a lovely vintage style Happy Halloweeny. Now I'm a bit wobbly there, but that's okay. Right, I'm just going to go and guillotine it. Right, so I've been away and I've done that, and I've got my little Happy Halloween strip, and I put some more Dollar Tree foam onto the back of there. And we're just going to pop it down. I'm going to try and be straight and not cut off everything, if you know what I mean. So I'm going to go there. So we've got a couple of pieces of dimension, but it's all been stenciled, and I think that's absolutely gorgeous. But as I said, you know, I got a bit overzealous here, you know, with my swirly twirly, and I went underneath my stencil. But just a little bit of white gel pen to highlight your candy corn really makes it pop, and you can use whatever colour you want to. I mean, if you're using the smaller stencil brushes, then you can go into one stencil panel, and as I said, that could be green, the hat could be purple, the pumpkins can be orange. It depends on the size of the brush you use. But I really enjoyed making that, and I'm quite happy to put that into my stencil box where I have many stencils. Right, I am going to be back again tomorrow, and tomorrow I'm up with a personal haul. So I thank you so much for joining me. Do have a wonderful day, and as usual, all links below. Bye.